of the Casters Lounge. I'm here again. I've got Ant again, but we're switching up some of the talent, some of the more irrelevant parts of the last show, with a couple new imports here from certain different places, and I'm just happy that these are the casters we've ended up with for week 2, where we're going to be talking about, obviously, the first match week. We're going to be talking about the teams in that match week. We're going to be talking about so many things about the match week, but we are also going to reveal the second round matchups in both groups. But before that, before all of that, let's just go through some of the people we've got on. We've obviously got Ant already, who's unfocused, I was going to say untalented, but that's not fair because he is talented. Hey, Ant. The conflicted emotions.
Yeah, by that slightly, just a double-handed compliment right there. Thanks for the introduction, though. I'll take it. I'll take it. I've had worse.
Dan. Hey.
Yeah.
You get no introduction, that is.
I don't need one.
Yeah. Oh. Nexus. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm fine. Just ate.
Great. What did you eat?
Yeah. I had some fries. You could see it, but Dream did not. Might be able to catch it in some other video. I'm not sure. I don't know how this goes. Maybe. I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see. Right. Do we want to just dive in, or anyone want to talk about anything just before that we have on their chest? Nope. Okay. Good. I'll take your silence as a no.
Not yet. Not yet. At least.
Not yet. Not yet. We'll see if we go there. All right. Let's just go for the first matchups then. And of course, if you feel like you have something to talk about, just cut me off whenever you want to. Okay. So we got the on Tuesday we had, I think, on Grev's stream, he streamed XDC Esports versus Glued. It didn't, like, the scoreline of 16-11 to XDC, I don't think that was entirely fair. XDC were kind of had that one in the bag for a long time, and it was just sort of pretty easy for those Swedes kicking things off. Then we had a couple interesting matches on the first stream day, actually. We had B-Pro beating Slick 16-10 after a bit of a stumble, which I think we'll talk about a bit later, actually, if nobody wants to talk about it now. You all seem a bit quiet anyway. Wasps Vanix, pretty uninteresting. Wasps won out quite simply. Time to Shine had an interesting overtime with Join the Force Challengers 19-16 on Vertigo. And I think we'll talk again, just a bit more foreshadowing. The talk about the Vertigo could be coming up. Equinox Regnant was a spectacular game as well, and that's not a biased statement, as Regnant won out. Yay. Regnant reign, everyone. But it was 5, easily beat Orbital, Sia, easily beat Brutal Democracy. Anything you want to go through there, lads?
Well, I mean, it was a pretty. It seemed like a lot of dominant performances from those sort of like from a lot of those teams that you wouldn't expect the teams from. There was a few 16-2s in there, which I thought was sort of quite interesting this early on. It sort of filtered out the sort of the
different tiers,
difference in teams, because obviously there's sort of quite a bit of disparity in some senses between the sort of top and the bottom of these groups. So it was weird to see some of that disparity between like these mid table teams that you'd expect to have a closer matchup, and then having seen like the sort of more favorite teams that were obviously like are sort of seeded in the top 5 versus the top 5 in the bottom of the group. That's sort of didn't quite go the way you'd expect, but still like had the correct finishes, well, correct outcome. But had the correct outcome, but sort of didn't. That looked a bit too close to sort of have to say, oh yeah, they're the dominant team in that matchup.
Yeah.
So that's sort of it's could just be a time of like sort of warming into the game. Obviously, a few of them had to make comebacks, but yeah, it was interesting to see if they'll be able to sort of get over the hurdle of
what
is that?
You want to do a sponsor segment?
Oh, G Fuel. He's got a plug in.
Use code DanChan.
I wish. What was I saying? But yeah, it would be nice to see if those teams are able to sort of get over that slow start mentality. I'm not sure if anyone else sort of just looked at that same way.
Yeah, I'd say I would. Like I get basically what you were saying is like we got the expected outcome in the end, but not
Yeah,
not
like
necessarily the
obviously like
expected
B
sort of
Pro.
scoreline.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
B Pro
exactly.
winning out over Slick, for example.
Yeah, I think
But
everyone expected that to be a bit of a whitewash, but they took their time to get there.
Yeah.
Most
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, that was sort of the thing that carried through, sort of in general. I thought with Famous Five, I think that was a bit at a later date. I think they lost out the first couple of rounds to Enemy, and we're behind for like the first maybe 10 rounds or so. Is that a worry for these big teams that we have in Famous Five, in B Pro, etc.? Is it actually a problem, or is it just them sort of warming up into the season? I think both had some marginal roster shifts. Is it just like them taking time, or is it an actual problem?
I mean, I think it's too early to say if it's an actual problem or not. Obviously, we've only had the first matchup. It's still just been a best of one. Obviously, they've been able to take the game, so it's not too much of a worry, in my opinion. And with a couple, like if you have like a roster shift or two, like you switch out maybe a player or two, it doesn't fundamentally change the way you play the game. It just means that you maybe have that one player who's sort of not as tuned in with the rest of the team. So like that can affect a few different areas. So you have one player who's like maybe not ready to do this strat, or is it sort of off timing a little bit, and that can affect that can domino affect the entire like round, by having like say for example a smoke coming for an execute a little bit
Yeah.
late, and that leaves someone off guard, for example. So if it's just sort of that side of things, that's easily
Mm.
treatable. That's literally just play a few more games, get more experience under your belt, and you're good to go. But
Nexus,
yeah.
what's going on with your lights there, buddy?
Oh, I'm changing them. I want to get them pink. Like them the best. I'm working on them. Don't worry.
Okay, sick. Top tier
Useful.
production, ladies and gentlemen. Top tier production. All right.
Strom is production.
Yeah, maybe. All right, let's keep it going then. Geek Case, the winners, as we said last week, of the Portuguese Rafael qualifier, 16-2 versus Havoc. Did anyone expect anything from Havoc there and got disappointed, or is that roughly what we? Yeah,
I wouldn't think so. They were their 15th seed in the group. I don't think anyone.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit more of a fight, but you know. I don't think anyone's
yes,
expecting them to
especially
win out.
considering all the other fights that we've seen between these lower seeded teams and upper seeded ones, I suppose. Yeah. All right. On to some better games, perhaps. Phantoms Ignite Dragonborn, another one on Vertigo, which was thrilling in all the right ways, just entertainment wise. Thrilling in all the wrong ways for both teams because they both stumbled at so many points during the game. Does anyone have anything on that game? Anyone who watched it?
Sadly, no. I was doing something else, but I gotta say I love
Mhm.
Vertigo. I'm not surprised he brought two of the greatest matches or two good matches.
I mean,
wanna see
I think you've been the biggest proponent in ESN of it since like you were playing and just picked it the most. I
Oh,
suppose
yeah.
in like season 3.
Yeah.
That's the bias coming through there.
I actually do love Vertigo as well as a battleground.
Hell yeah, Dan.
as a map.
Hell yeah. Let's
Yeah,
go.
because it's at this point where it's like it's been changing loads, but like the general sort of structure of the map is sort of set now. If
Mhm.
So it's like teams are able to sort of obviously sort of set up these defaults, but there's still loads of cool stuff coming through. Like there's boosts that have been like sort of utilizing that sort of the wood panels
Mm.
above a ramp, stuff like that. There's other cool bits coming out, and I think it's really cool in how different teams are approaching this map. Even with the sort of structure that it's got already. Like
Yeah.
the Mirage is
yeah,
starting to
yeah.
get boring now. Everyone teams plays it the same.
Hate
Yeah.
Mirage.
I mean, but
Take
the
it
recent update that adds the bench has just made it literally boring to watch. It's so
It
boring
was
now.
boring
to
anyway.
watch. Yeah, no, but it's now. I hate Mirage matchups because it's like, oh look, this team's taking mid, and now they've jumped into window.
No,
Sick.
I don't think it's the worst map though. That's Dust 2 for me. right now.
Dust-
Yeah,
I
yeah.
ca- I hate
Dust 2 is
watching-
Dust 2 is pretty
Hard
bad.
I
Actually.
hate watching Dust 2. Like it is it is
So
many
extremely
saves.
boring.
The change they made with opening the skybox were kind of cool.
Yeah,
And it
but
means
I
that teams could, but they just basically throw the same smokes, but just
Yeah.
from safe positions. It's like, oh, well, they smoked the door, but they did that before they walked into the
Hmm.
site. Now that's the only change, really.
no, yeah, and it's like
Fundamentally
I mean,
changed
it's
it.
the biggest problem with Dust 2 is that it's with its open nature, everyone just is able to run away as soon as they have to retake, which obviously is quite hard on Dust 2. And so we just get these like, all right, we're gonna save again. All right, it's James time again. All right, let's go again. We saw this in the
Yeah.
Mouse Plays game, I think, as well, which was played like Saturday. I think me and Grev casted that one, Escape for his Mouse Plays. That was on Dust 2. It was essentially just like on Mouse Play CT side, which was the first one, first half. Quasma just ran away every time. Had an op. All right, we're running. Sometimes with a teammate with him, sometimes not. Just like sitting back, and it's the biggest problem with Dust 2, honestly, and it's why it just shouldn't be in the map pool right now. Needs some
I
type
mean-
of
And
rework
mid-doors,
that isn't just
hello.
the skybox.
Mid doors are just cancer. I hate it.
You,
I
ca-
agree.
you can't change.
okay.
You can't change mid doors though, because
Yeah, I'm
that's-
actually gonna chime in here as well. I fucking hate Dust 2 as well. It is so linear, as in terms of you can do like 3 strats, but then you can change from one to the
Nice.
other, and that's it. You can go fast A, mid to A, mid to B, or B rush basically. But if you go mid to A, you can just do like, oh, let's go B instead,
yeah.
and that's like
I
all
see.
the
Um,
strats you can do.
I miss
I see
cobbles.
mid to B is a lot.
Yeah.
Like that is the most overused strat in Dust 2, and it hurts my head because the B site is such a hard site to retake as well. It's just like a 3 versus 3 you have to save, as Stromis was saying. So it's
Yeah.
like it's
Just
just
boring.
yeah, it gets boring. So yeah, Dust 2 is worse than Mirage.
And Mirage,
It is.
not great either.
I was gonna say also,
yeah.
I was just commenting about Vertigo because obviously you said about it was a bit of a shit show early on in the map pool, but obviously like the fact that you said they've changed and they've got the actual structure now, I think it's good because obviously they did that with Overpass initially, like way back in the day. It was just a bit of a, but now it's actually it's a fantastic map personally.
Yeah, no,
but,
I love Overpass.
Yeah,
like
I think
my favorite.
Vertigo's shaping up well. It's a fun map.
All right, let's talk more about the games then, where we had. I mean, there weren't that many more interesting games, honestly. We had a couple on the Sunday. Vibes in it, Team Scoundrels, which was really special, honestly, because it was Vibes in it, obviously formerly Lions Creed, who got to match point 15-6. And Team Scoundrels come back all the way by Lions Creed just like they had this advantage all game, right? Where they essentially just they won every duel. They were just better aim wise, just consistently so. And they had sort of the contact play to go with that, which worked fantastically for the first like 21 rounds or so. And then nothing. Just for 9 rounds in a row, they literally started rushing, started evening the playing field almost by just not using their aim at all, and it led them to overtime where they turned back on for some reason on a T side where they struggled like super hard. They just turned back on and we're like, okay, we'll fight you every step of the way, and I think they won every single overtime round in that one.
1915.
Yeah, 1915, so every round.
Yeah.
We also had a couple others on the Sunday. I think Danshan casted like both Versio Shasu and Vector Skillmatics, and I guess the interesting part of the Orglis EU Binek Bumbath game. Anything on that?
Yeah.
Front?
Yeah, I was doing that one with Taylor actually, and it was quite interesting actually. The first 2 matches were very sort of different in the actual styles that were taken, because for the Project Versio Shizu game, that was absolutely mental. Like that, it was just basically Pug from every single player just running around shooting heads. Essentially, there wasn't really much structure to it.
Wasn't that exactly what we expected?
Yeah, because Project Versio is like a completely new
Yeah,
team. Essentially, they hold it's obviously it's the ex Luxor roster, and they two of the Lex Luthor rosters. Just Zaka and Krepal remain, and they've brought in 3 new players, in the form of Dash, Suez, and Zinio, which is actually apparently how you say his name, not Zinho. It's Zinio.
Wasn't it
So you have
Exinio? When we checked the
Yeah, but he's-
pronunciation with them.
That's how I've been told to say it, so I'm
Alright.
going with Zinio.
Alright. You know
If
best
that'd be
when it
wrong, I
comes to
don't know.
them.
But if it's wrong, I'm sure they'll let me know.
Yep.
But yeah, that was just such a crazy game. Like there's a clip of just one of the Shizou players jumping through a smoke within 3 shots on a scout, and then like the Versio players have no idea where he is. Like it takes them ages to figure out. But then like in contrast, that Vector Gaming map on Nuke was actually a lot more slower paced. It was still a very interesting game, but Vector just sort of had control of that one the entire way through, and it was much more of a tactical map, which is what you tend to see on Nuke, because obviously there's the whole you have to take control of Secret a lot. But that's my sort of thoughts on those 2 matches. They were very different matches essentially.
And the latter half of Orglist, the Nagman is it the best overtime we've seen yet in a first game week of Time to Shine overtime versus JTF and Vibes and its Scoundrels overtime?
I don't know. It was okay. It was a decent overtime. It wasn't anything special in my opinion when watching it. But of course I was with Taylor, and it was sort of a bit of a off-brand cast. So I'm sure if I was sort of more taking it a bit more
right, yeah, casual.
and maybe if I'd sort of joined in at the start of the game instead of halfway, well, towards the end, it might have been a bit more of a sort of interesting matchup that I might have committed to more in the cast, essentially. But it was okay. It was an okay overtime. It delivered. It wasn't a sort of boring end to the game. It was still interesting, but it could have been more, I think.
Did we really expect that from DNAG Mumbaf though? Because I think we checked this last time, and their elo is like so far behind anyone else as the 32nd seed. So 16th in Group 1, is it? Is it really
Group 2, I think.
Since
JTF,
I think I could actually transition onto something here, because like that surely has subverted people's expectation. Or did it for you guys even? Like, do you expect them to actually do anything now, even as the like lowest seed, with a pretty decent showing under their belt?
I reckon they could get maybe win a match. I don't know, but I think they could put up a good showing considering the display they showed already. They've definitely got potential. They can actually win rounds. So yeah, there's no.
On Inferno as well, which is like not the easiest task against like a team that's supposed to be way better than you. Yeah.
Exactly. So seeds are only so much, aren't they?
Yeah. I guess that's true as well.
I mean, they put in a good showing against Orgulus, so it shows promise. And now they're going to be facing the teams that are sort of closer to their level, so they might be able to put in a win or 2.
Yeah.
Don't think they'll make it out of groups though, but they might be able to put a couple wins on the board, I think, for themselves.
Yeah, I think that's pretty. So that sounds about right.
Yeah.
There's nothing to
I
it,
think
really.
so as well. Tempered expectations then, with maybe not any coming into it, but any other teams that we thought were like super good in their first game that we didn't really expect much of, or maybe expected very little of, and then it's sort of gone upwards. The stonks.
I think I was gonna say you and Dom weren't too sure on Sia, but they did pull out a bit of a slapping game there. 16-5.
I don't think you can mischaracterize me. Okay, I've said Sia proved me wrong initially when that roster got picked up. I was like, no, not gonna work, not gonna happen. And then I've said decent team. Dom, not so much.
Yeah, a bit of a doubter. But yeah, no, I think they've after their loss to GeneTex in ESCA,
Yeah.
we were kind of like, oh no, they've come straight into this flying 16-5. It's a good start, and I think the next matchup, which we talk about later, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, they beat.
Yeah, I think
They beat Brutal Democracy, which maybe, in fairness, isn't like the biggest win they could have had, but doing it 16-5, I guess, is some type of confidence boost, etc., etc.
Definitely.
Any teams from the gentlemen above us then? Dan, Nexus?
I mean, I think the Vector Gaming Skillmatics game was sort of
Yeah.
how I'd expect it to go. I mean, Skillmax, I think, underperformed quite a bit in that one against Vector. I don't think it should have been as much of a beatdown as it was. I mean, it was still somewhat of a. It wasn't a complete blowout. Like, it wasn't a 16-2, wasn't a 16-3, but it was still. It was. I don't know. It was sort of disappointing from Skillmax. They just didn't look in it at any point,
Yeah,
and that sort of worries me for the rest of the groups.
I think it sort of carries on this sort of strange tradition we have where it's like, obviously every season there are a bunch of Portuguese teams, right? But typically there's always that one team that are overhyped and then just like massively underperform. Is Skillmatics going to be that team in a Portuguese field this season, consisting of like teams that have already shown that they're way better than that, like Equinox, like I don't even know, Scape, I guess, etc. Yeah, Geek Case for sure. Skillmatics the worst Portuguese team this season?
I'd say so, yeah, out of the entire season.
Confirmed.
Perhaps, yeah.
Probably,
So
yeah.
it sounds mean, but yeah, I'd say that they are the least.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they were the worst.
I mean,
out of all
Are they going to win a game?
Well, you say win again. They haven't won yet, so.
win
Yeah.
a game. Didn't you?
Oh right, did you say win a game? All right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably not. I doubt it, to be honest. I mean, I generally try and reserve like judgment like this for a
Yeah.
couple games in, but watching that game, I was just like, I was not impressed at all. It was disappointing. For most of it, it was it just didn't show promise. I think they lost a 2 versus 5.
Yeah.
Like that, you can't be doing that. That's outrageous. So, like, there's not much more you can say apart from that.
Right. I mean, we've sort of skirted around a couple of topics already, but like, do we want to talk about some of the big games a bit more in depth? I casted Equinox Regnant because of course I did on Wednesday on Inferno. Regnant won 16-12, got the prediction exactly right. Dom jumped on the Regnant. He jumped on the Regnant hype train. He's been on Twitter
very quickly.
He's been on Twitter. He was like super against me, mostly just I guess against me, not against Regnant really. And then like when we did predictions, I think he predicted first, and he said like Regnant 16-8 or something, which even I just like didn't go that far. And then like he's just been on the hype train on Twitter, in Discord. Always just like hashtag Regnant Rain. He's on board, boys. How do we feel about first Dom being on board?
He's a sellout, isn't he? He's an absolute sellout.
He just is, isn't he? He just likes to talk. That's what he is. He starts to say anything. Aston Villa will be like, whoa! There goes a Twitter thread. You know, say Regnant won. It's like, yeah, I predicted that. I was here the whole time. Whoa! It sounds like a theme meme.
Throwback to season 3-4 final, where he just like did a bunch of Logan Paul versus KSI references in the final. Classic. Very, very much a classic.
That's what we love him for, eh?
That was great. No, yeah, but I didn't really go too in depth there, did I? No, yeah, I thought it was just a cracking game. We had a bunch of like super intense clutches. We had a bunch of super intense rounds and sort of general parts of the game where it got really, really just down and dirty for both teams. They really had to dig in. And with that, we saw some cracking shots along the way. I think the Portuguese player by the name of Diaz or whatever, he just picked up Didigo like so many times, and then every single time he would just like boom, hit 1, 2, 3 headshots, and it was just outrageous every time. Tommy Salami on the other side just like threw smokes. He didn't care. Flash didn't really care. We saw like Relax of Regnant as well, just like staying smokes with Mac 10 on 10 health, clutching out. And yeah, just carnage, that Inferno game. It was a joy to watch, and happy the better side went out on top. Right. because I've mentioned the Deagle there, and I think if we talk about the other game that just happened, like right next to that game, I think they were concurrent. Time to Shine joined the Voice Challengers, which was on Vertigo. It went to overtime. Time to Shine, the Swedish sort of mix-esque team, won out 1916 or so in a pretty decent overtime. That was a game which featured quite a bit of that as well. I think the most prominent example was like another Vertigo game, of course, Phantom's Ignite Dragonborn, where it was just like the Deagles really ran riot, and it was insane. Where do we rate the Deagle right now? Is it like, because I saw a bunch of people in chat, and obviously chat can be a bit hyperbolic at times, but like saying just, oh, I hate the Deagle, it's just so OP, I wish they just deleted the weapon. Surely we don't go that far, right? It's lovely to watch the Deagle, right? Isn't it super satisfying, or is it just me?
It is. It is.
Yeah.
It's always good to see like good 1 or 2 crispy headshots with the Deagle, but when it's just body spam and miss everything, it's just even more better. That's the best in my opinion.
Yeah, that is best feeling. Just the manic laughter follows it as well, typically. Or in Dan Chan's case, probably some screaming at them like he's their coach. I'm guessing...
no! Don't even.
Have I pushed a button there? Dan?
Oh no, here it comes, boys.
Cronus from Vector got knifed
Yeah.
in spawn on that game on Nuke. That almost hit me over the edge again.
Does it bring you back
Down to 40 HP.
Does it bring you
before
back
round
to a certain game between Phantom's Ignite and then known as Budapest 5, or then known as...
No, it was the one that I made a name
Yeah,
for, like
before
it was,
Budapest 5 Youngsters.
Yeah.
Why are you knifing in spawn, I think was the quote, but just in a very
Yeah.
loud manner.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, a bit of loudness was included in that. But yeah, I just don't understand why teams do that. It's unnecessary. Why are you swinging your knife at teammates in spawn? It's like he's less than half HP now, and it's like a Deagle can now one shot to the body if you're against an eco.
Yeah.
Like, what is the point? I don't. It makes my blood boil. Honestly, it makes my blood boil.
It does. I can tell.
Meme, really.
I mean, speaking on Budapest 5 Youngsters, actually, speaking on just Budapest 5, it's not the Youngsters team. Budapest 5 stomped Orbital 16-2 on Wednesday. And then I think we had like Geek Case, obviously, as I mentioned, stomping Havoc with the same scoreline. We saw a few more of those like Vector, etc., etc. What does, especially in the case of like a team like Budapest 5, who were already like everyone just expected them to be quite good. No one expected anything of Orbital. Same for like Geek Case. Does the stomp even like prove anything to anyone when they're already like just touted to be good and then are okay to just stomp someone?
I'd say it does. Obviously, it shows that they're here to win. You know, they're not going to be like, oh, we're just kind of, we're a good team. Here we are in ESN. We'll have a bit of a meme. No, they're here. Done. Easy win, straight off.
Yeah, they're ready. They're
so many strats.
Yeah, it's just they're here. They're playing with confidence. They're hitting their expectations probably. They're hitting ours from last season. So they're showing, yeah, we're still here.
Yeah.
Not a fluke.
Right. Anything else we want to talk about then?
Oh, just on that last point,
yeah, sure.
it reminds me a bit of like sort of Warfox / Legends
Yeah.
in that regard, in the sense that they are just they can be just the best team, and they're just coming out to prove it. And it's like, yeah, it's sort of maybe a competition that's a little bit of a level beneath them in that regard. But is that necessarily a bad thing? No, not really. It's obviously it's open to everyone. If they want to come and win out the tournament, go for it. It's great to see those sort of.
It was cynical to
these
see them in
teams
the
come and have a look.
qualifier, wasn't it? Just to take the £100 prize pool last season.
Yeah.
But that's always fun. They didn't get to compete in the second one, which was good. I think they asked even. That might be. Don't quote me on that though. Right. Okay. We've seen like a week of groups now, right? In both groups, obviously. Bunch of games played in both. is there a difference between the groups? Is it possible to see what the better group actually is, or is it too early? Because last season, obviously, we could like even before the group started, we just saw like, well, yeah, this group 1 is just going to be way better than it was. Group 2 kind of sucked. Then does it suck now? Is group 2 better? Group 1?
I think it's a bit too early to say just yet. I'd say after the next round, you could start making more guesses on which one's supposedly better, whatnot. But still, I don't think you can really call which one's better.
Yeah, I mean, I agree mostly with that. It is too early to say because I mean, obviously you've got Group 1 has obviously the winners B Pro, so that's always sort of touts that group as sort of more of an interesting group to follow, one that's probably has maybe a higher caliber of teams. But then you still have the second group still has like really strong teams in there, so it's sort of for me it's sort of pretty even. The only thing I will say is which it's group 2 has Skillmatics, so that's probably a bad mark against that team. That's against that group. Sorry.
Yeah,
really,
Group 1
really
has
just
Vanek.
hating on Skillmatic. What was that, Ant? Sorry.
Nothing.
Did you say something about
You're trying to
Vanek?
rip into Vanek.
Why is you?
The lovely production team, and
Why
all
have you
he
just gone
does
after
is
Va-
go
oh,
and
yeah.
throw it in their face.
Yeah.
Maybe. That was a bit of a disappointing show, but maybe we might see more. Well, we will see more of them, and hopefully Vanek will show up.
Yeah, actually, that game proved nothing for me because like Wasps, they recruit a new team every season, so like you never know where they're at. So it's just two unproven teams that played against each other for me. Obviously we'll talk about their next game, etc., the next ones, but I think they do. Spoilers, have a somewhat easier team to go up against there. So should be someone where they can sort of prove themselves a bit, maybe. All right. Do we want to talk? Because obviously last time we talked a bit about the Portuguese teams coming in, which is one big hotspot of teams, I'd put it, where there's just a cluster of Portuguese teams playing, just like last season, just like in most seasons we've had. There's another cluster as well, or two more, I'd say. But one of the other ones is the UK scene, and Dan, as a UK man,
Here we go.
how do you rate these UK teams one game in? Because we've obviously had sort of up and down in terms of the UK teams. We've had showings like I don't want to say anything wrong here, but Mouse plays losing. We've seen Havoc lose in Group 1. That is, we've seen Genetics, which aren't really a UK team, more of a EU team, win big. Vibes in it win, not big. Kind of disappointingly, Vector win, etc., etc. How good is the UK scene this season?
I mean, you can basically ignore that Vector game because I mean anyone could beat Skillmatics.
Just the hate, man. Big hate.
No, I'm joking. The Skillmatics aren't even. They don't look that bad. It's just in that game they did. Essentially. I mean, and they can definitely play better than I can. So, I mean, yeah, there's that. But nah, like with the UK teams, the problem with it is UK teams don't seem to last that long. As in, they form, they sort of play an event maybe, and then it sort of all goes. They make a few. There's a few roster changes, or maybe the entire team just disbands, and it's sort of you never see these like UK teams lasting that long.
Yeah,
that's why you
There's a
generally
lot of
see
toxicity
you
pops
generally
up,
see
yeah.
like a single UK player or maybe a player or two on these like sort of European lineups, just because it's sort of a more stable setting for them in that sense. So I think
Regnant,
that's a large
haha.
part of the problem. Yeah, I think that's a large part of the problem for these UK teams. But I think Vector might be able to do a little bit, in fairness.
Yeah, they did get to playoffs last season, but you
Yeah.
did also get a feeling that they were kind of fortunate to do so, right? With how they played comparatively to everyone else in their tough group, I think. But yeah, and they got slapped immediately, didn't they? I think they played
Yeah.
someone quite difficult as well. So, in all fairness,
I think it might have been Famous Five.
Yeah, it might have been actually.
It was.
Yeah. Right. Another hotspot. I just mentioned one there. UK. Another hotspot. Sweden. How do you feel about the Swedish scene, Nexus, this season?
Oh!
How do you feel over there in East Sweden?
Not gonna lie, I don't want to be in East Sweden. So
Mm.
you
wanna
know how I feel about East Sweden,
Yeah,
Finland, as most people call it.
You want to move to budget East Sweden, maybe?
Huh? Nah, I don't know. We'll see. But okay, there are actually some decent teams like the Dragonborn, the Time to Shine, right? They were at one, correct? Maybe.
Yeah. Dragonborn are
Yeah.
Swedish, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Time to Shine is
Yeah.
Swedish.
Yeah.
Couple
Yeah, that's what
others.
it was. Yeah. So, I mean, they look pretty well.
Phantoms, I guess,
pretty
yeah.
good from what I saw.
Phantoms are like
Actually, it's nice.
there are a bunch of teams where like maybe 1 to 3 players are Swedish, but I call Phantoms a bit European than just Swedes.
But
'Cause
yeah,
obviously they have Geoffrey
I'd expect
and-
at least one of these Swedish-ish teams to make it out of groups. Like
Hmm.
probably use Dragonborn.
Hmm.
Or yeah, probably Dragonborn time to shine. Like
I
one of
don't
those.
know.
I
Ecstasy, maybe
think.
so?
Really? I'd say Ecstasy.
I would say Ecstasy.
Oh yeah,
Ecstasy.
XTC. I completely yeah.
Uh,
They're
If any
definitely
Swedish team
gonna get
makes
out.
out, they should be the ones to do it.
Yeah, they definitely
Yeah,
will.
for
They
their
should.
license.
Yeah, and that's like the second seed in Group 1. They definitely should. But no, I don't. What? Why do you think Dragonborn are gonna move on? Nexus.
Well, if we're talking about just about the Swedish teams, I'd say they have a decent chance, but I completely forgot about XTC. So
No, yeah, I just asked because like they did not look that great on Vertigo against Phantoms Ignite. Honestly, they completely fell apart at the finish line, and it just that ended up not being the least sloppy game we've seen all week as well.
okay.
Um,
Calm down. Okay, see, what you gotta understand is they played Vertigo. They have huge balls. They will do whatever they need, and they will just keep going. You're not gonna underestimate any of them.
Mm-hmm.
They will just come and slap you in any map,
Right.
even if it is a bit sloppy.
We've got the Dragonborn proponent here, back in the Swedes apparently. Right. Any other opinions on any other Swedish teams since we've got so many?
I don't know. I think, as Nexus mostly pointed out, apart from forgetting Ecstasy, I don't think Dragonborn will make it. In my opinion, they don't look good enough in my opinion. They just sort of it looks a bit sloppy. So I don't like
I was
sloppy
gonna say,
seconds.
I kind of cast them in another redacted league, and it wasn't Vertigo as well actually. It's sloppy was probably the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of things. There's a lot of just team flashes, just messing up basic flashes or smokes. Just very, I would say simple things, but which is hard to master. But just things like that. They're not as well versed and close knit as some other teams are, which is what
Yeah.
you need to be in a league like this with such.
Or just
high
have
competition.
Seek on,
Yeah, or just have Zeke, and yeah, that otherwise.
which seems to be working for XTC at least in the first. I mean, we always talk about Seekon though. Maybe it's a bit unfair because every time he does have a pretty solid base around him, in like Lind and Saints and all the others. Shouldn't shed too much light on what's admittedly a fantastic player. Right. Do we want to do the reveal then for next round?
Sure.
Right. So, as you may know, to add a bit of intrigue to the podcast for people watching, we'll be revealing all the second round matchups first. I mean, not first, but please shut up about that, please. But technically first into the public at least, and I think they'll go up on the Twitter. Hopefully, if Matt isn't a lazy slob. All these matches will
So
go up on
basically,
Twitter. So we're gonna switch
Hopefully.
over. We do switch over right now to a bit of a slideshow here of the first two groups. The only two groups in round 2, and if I think we're gonna switch back in just a bit. So if you want to see like all the groups, then just like check the Twitter, try and see if to keep up while we're talking about them. But I think we can start off here, honestly, in this little slideshow. Any games you fancy?
Oh, well, do you want me to go first?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, obviously, there's Project Versio Regnant, which, I mean, for more than just personal reasons, should be a really fun game. Mostly just because of the way, like, both these teams are playing. Like, in my opinion, it could be, like, one of those games where it's sort of just, like, so hectic, but but it's just so enjoyable at the same time because it's not technically bad Counter-Strike that they play. It's just sort of off-brand. Like, it's more sort of aggression-based, pug-based, whatever you want to call it. But because I think Strommers would probably agree that Regnant being a new roster, they sort of sway to that side of things as well as Project Versio, because
Yeah.
obviously Project Versio, a new roster as well, they sort of have that sort of form as well. But I think as the tournament develops, these two teams are probably going to develop their playstyles as well and become a bit more structured, a bit more tactical. But for now, it could be a really fun game to watch.
Any other picks? Because I think we honestly, like, just looking at these games, it's there are quite a few that at least I see that are quite interesting. I think like
Pro Ecstasy as well.
Yeah,
that is one. That's gonna be a banger, hopefully.
Yeah, let's just hope so. Because like a bunch of these are just evenly matched across the board. Ant, you agree? Find any games you like?
Yeah, I agree with the Pro Ecstasy. That should be a fun one. I think it was. I don't know if it's the last time that they clashed, but obviously Zeke and Linz did play I think it's sort of similar to Pro team back 2 seasons ago.
Yeah,
so that should be fun. And well, they're both good teams. They're full of solid players, so it should be fun. What other ones? Sia versus Vector. Talking about both teams, I think that should be enjoyable enough to watch. You know, both had all right first rounds, so obviously not the top highest tier, but they should be a good game.
Yeah, just a bit of a UK clash as well, which could add some spice. It always seems to add some spice when we have the UK derbies, as it were. If I get to pick something as well, I've actually not like properly prepared for any sort of picks. I didn't know you guys were gonna pick actually. All right, we'll go with. You guys have said like so many good ones as well. It's hard to really get one to actually talk about. Time to Shine Geek Case might be okay because like Time to Shine are probably gonna lose that game. But if they don't, then it's gonna be a great game. You know what I mean? Like if it's an upset, then there's no way that's gonna be a bad game. Where it's gonna be like Time to Shine just all right, they're winning, grinding out rounds because they have really fun players, and so do Geek Case, and that's kind of why I think that's just a great game. That's gonna happen. Right. I think there aren't like too many more. I think there were a couple low tier games though, or like low tier. But
losers matchups.
No, yeah, exactly. Like the 0-1 bracket features actually a couple sleeper bangers, I'd say, in sort of the Lucifer versus Brutal Democracies of the world, where it's like none of the players are really gonna like catch your eye or anything, but I think it's a really good game for both to like prove themselves and a great way to get like just climb up by stepping on the others. Another example of maybe a sleeper game, which is 1-0 actually, it's Budapest 5 versus Lions Creed, or Vibes in It rather. Who Vibes in It obviously showed some weakness, as we've noted, in losing or dropping that big of a lead to a team like Scoundrels, but still they've got those sick players on the team that always seem to have at least some speck of possibility to show up at basically any time and be quite solid when they're needed. A few more examples of that, like 0-1 Natures, Scomatics, DNAG Mumbath, another game which like two picks of teams that are probably both gonna just not survive for too long, but you know, they get to battle on a pretty even playing field while they're here. It's fun. Anything else? I think we've almost noted every game, so it might be hard to.
Say Slick and Mouse.
Slick and Mouse, yeah, that could.
Yeah, Slick put a good show up against B Pro.
Yeah.
To start off with, and Mouse did I think as well relatively. Yeah, not too bad against Escape. So you know, it could be a good game. I hope it is. Should be fun to watch.
I think Slick only did that well because he had Swez, who's now moved to Project Versio.
Okay.
Yeah,
He definitely carried them to that.
He was, I think, he was second fragging. He had like a 22
Exactly.
kills. He was top. Was
Exactly.
a flash banger, and he was mad. He's a good player, really good player.
Passive aggressive, okay, from Slicky's Twitter chat.
No, but I mean, they had some issues that, but like the thing is, it was relatively close in some of the rounds with
Yeah.
B-Pro, who are, you know, as we all know,
yeah.
top seed. So if they sort those out, they could definitely win this match and, you know, go further in the actual league.
No, yeah, it's certainly a statement. Despite losing it, what was it, 16-8 at the end? Like, getting that lead is certainly some type of statement. A la Endymion versus Famous Five, where obviously they took a couple rounds at the start, but those are the ones that matter, unfortunately, for them, and by extension also for I lost the name, haven't I? Slick. I mean, yeah, there it goes. Might get another passive aggressive okay in the chat because of that.
Took you too much.
Yeah,
Took you too long.
Anyone liking Endymion Dragonborn with the statement in mind from Endymion? Nope. Okay.
Not really.
Is that the worst game then, or what's the worst game?
Probably the well, I was gonna say the Dynagmon Bath Skillmatics game. Probably.
I mean, quality-wise,
but
sure.
it could. To be fair, it could still be an interesting matchup, which is why I held off sort of going straight into that one, because it could still be quite fun to watch.
I think the least fun to watch is going to be Vanix Havoc, honestly. Two
Yeah,
very
I'm gonna go
unsettled
with you.
teams. Two teams that are like, they didn't really perform at all. Havoc to a lesser extent, I suppose, in their first round games, and
They got 16-2 in the first round. It's
not gonna be
Vanix not looking too good either.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a questionable game.
In a similar vein, I think Orbital Gaming versus Shasu won't be anything to write home about either.
Yeah, Shazoo didn't look too special against Versio. It was, yeah, I think they're seeded correctly. It's might pick up a game or two. But
yeah, we'll see about that. But game to watch for me then, like the must watch game, is gonna have to be Regnant Versio, mostly because we'll try and get me and Dan cast in for the ultimate bias battle.
I'll just cast every time Versio wins. You cast every time Regnant wins. Yeah.
Great win there for Regnant. Oh, great win there for Versio. Yeah, that might be a very very schizophrenic cast.
100% chance that Versio win this anti-eco now.
It's gonna be chaotic.
Oh, look, they picked up 2 kills. Look at this absolutely insane scenes from Relax.
That's gonna be fun.
Just a nade coming in doing 7 damage. Oh, a huge nade coming in!
Absolutely destroys his Regnant players.
Terrible nade, that. Damn. Nexus, are there any games that you're like, oh yeah, I really want to cast that? Or is it anything like that?
You know me, I'm a fan of Vision. I could go with Seiya or the BP, the B Pro one. Both of those are great games. I don't really have any. Yeah, I don't really know any players besides Vision too well. Like,
might just talk about the entire game.
ALX.
Just like, oh yeah, Vision. This player.
No, out of all these players in the teams, I don't really know anyone that well. So
you know, like
that kind of small biased or whatever. I'm intrigued about is Seiya because I want to see them do well.
Ant, game you want to cast? Dibs. We already have dibs on Regnant Versio, that is.
So yeah, well, maybe you have to do a duo cast with Nexus because I enjoy B Pro and B Pro XT should be a good game. especially Zeke and Lind.
That
And,
has
yeah,
that has
Sue
the
as well.
potential for me though to be like the game that everyone just hypes up and then boom, B Pro just bang.
Yeah, it could be just like one
Yeah.
one of the teams just doesn't show up.
Mm.
It's there's always a chance at this level,
Yeah.
obviously.
But that's also the thing, is that the same thing can happen with B Pro. Like, as I said, it happened like last season in the quarterfinals. It started to happen at the start of the match versus Slick before they actually got going. So if they don't get going because they're just getting shut down, then it could be it could be the other way. So it's all chance, I think, really.
Right. I think we're gonna end off on maybe a question or two, depending on if anybody else. Because if you do wanna, if you are watching live, then you do have the chance to type to us, obviously, in Twitch chat.
Now just look at the VOD comments.
Yeah,
Look
give
at
us
the
a
views.
question. Give us a question if you want to, but I think we might just end up on Banda's question. What's the prediction on the winner of the season? Danchan, don't give me the cop out of it's too early to tell. Just throw your hat into the ring. Say Project
you
Aversio.
think I'd do that? You think I'd do that?
Just say Project Aversio
Um,
again.
Project Aversio are going to win this one out.
I don't know.
There it is.
Why is that, Dan?
Because it's a new and improved roster compared to last year. They got all the way to the final against B Pro. They just basically had a bit of a shit in the final, didn't they? Really,
Mm.
they were down like, what was it, like 13-4 against B Pro and Train. Brought it back to 16-11. As of they lost. No, I think it's 16-13 actually they lost, and then Overpass was like another 16-11.
Yeah.
Both the maps they just had really slow starts on. It was they basically that entire season they were just changing the roster all the way throughout. Like they never had the same 5 players like
Same thing
between
this season.
over a span of a couple matches.
Same thing at the start of this one, maybe.
Well, no, because they've only played one game,
All right.
so you can't have different players
there's
in one game.
I
They're
don't
not subbing in at half time. All right, get Zaka out. Bring this new up.
Ant,
No,
who's gonna win?
um,
You're more
but,
reason.
it's-
No, I don't want to hear Danchan because Ant probably has a more reasonable choice.
Oh, okay. I have more reasons. I don't know. I think the chat said it's a B Pro, Budapest 5. I think one of those two maybe. Depends if B Pro continue showing up. If they have a slow start again in this next match, but if they're on form and they stay on form for the rest of the season, they can definitely take it. But Budapest 5 had a bit of a dominant showing, and they've been pretty all right in main, I think. So
Hmm.
they've got good chances.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Nexus, you gonna back your boy Vision?
I don't think I can really guess who's gonna win. I'd rather go with the top 4. Gonna be like I'm gonna say in there just because.
Mm-hmm.
Why not? And then was like B Pro most likely gonna be in the finals, semifinals. XTC, they have a chance, I think. I'm a bit stuck between Famous 5 and I don't know. I think Project Aversio could be in there as well, but I don't know. I didn't see their first match, so I don't really know.
Disappointed at the lack of Regnant from all of you.
Well,
It's
they've got
too
good
new of a
pieces,
roster.
yeah,
It's
only
too new of a
one-
roster to
one-
tell.
Yeah, I
That's
got
it.
Right,
enough
so
of-
not
I got
with
enough of
Project Aversio then, Dan.
Well, I mean, Zaka and Krepal,
probably there.
they're insane, aren't they? So
Yeah, but Regnant have
Zaka's just
also had a
sick
core
AWP.
that have stayed.
yeah,
for-
but right, we see right. Okay, let's put it this way: we've seen Zaka and Krepal work with other rosters before. They worked together for a long time. They made it to the final together in last season
Mhm.
with a core that was with a team that was constantly changing. Imagine what they could do with a full-time roster now.
Mm.
That's going to be pretty sick. And to be fair, I think a few of these players are actually upgrades compared to last season.
Yeah.
Suez looks pretty sick. Like he did on Slick as well. So I think that's a really good pickup. And as Slick actually put in the chat there, it's that a lot of these players actually know each other already.
Hmm.
Like I think Suez actually used to play with them a while ago as well, as in like way back, like a few years ago back. I think maybe.
Right.
But,
So
yeah.
I'm just gonna throw a couple in there, just like Nexus. Maybe a few oddballs as well, because that's just how I roll. Geek Case. I'm just gonna hype him up. You have to have one Portuguese team that everyone just hypes up endlessly. I think they could.
Gilmatics.
I think Geek Case could do solid work. Obviously, winning the qualifier, just dominantly battering in the first game. If they win against Time to Shine like super dominantly, I think we're looking at a team that maybe won't win, but at least like as long as they have not an unreasonable way to the final, then they could do something along the way. I think. Have to say Reignite. I think just for the bias to the sort of act to continue with the bias.
There needs to be some bias for it to be entertaining.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a
It's all
man
part of the show, really. I don't even like the Aversio players. It's just part of the show.
Absolutely hate him.
Sony, you've got
Yeah.
to consist with it.
My messages to Krepo include, mate, when are you actually just going to disband this roster? It's actually painful.
I can't keep lying about you winning.
Ugh. There's only so
Um,
much a man can take.
That needs freedom.
B Pro up there as well. Obviously, not an oddball in saying that.
Yeah.
Have to say Regnant, as I said.
Ecstasy as well.
And I don't think XTC are gonna get top 4, but
Really?
yeah.
Really? Wow. I think there could be an outside chance in there.
Yeah, there is an outside chance, but
I don't think they're going to win.
yeah, no.
Nah, never. But I think they could.
I think there's
be able to
definitely
get
an
into top
outside
four.
chance for them to get top 4, yeah, but
Yeah.
I think it massively depends on like how the rest of the group stage plays out. And obviously like them having to play B Pro in the second game where I mean even though there's a chance I'd still back B Pro to win that.
Yeah.
Getting 1-1 in that and then maybe having to face off against someone again tough and then like just keep on and then you're just worsening your seed ahead of playoffs and then like is may not be too easy even though they've done quite well around the seed recently in some redacted name leagues. Genetics, another name I'd throw in, not maybe to win the title but to be up there because they've been so good recently, not just in the Ascend but obviously were in the first game quite good as well. Like they battered Lucifer more than the scoreline of 16-7 represented, etc., etc. Yeah, I don't think there's too many more that I'd actually say. Who's right? One more question. Who's the best caster in ESN?
Oof. That's an awkward one, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go. Can I go with it? Can I go with a duo?
You can go with a duo, yeah. Sure. Who's the
Alright,
best
Matt
casting
and
duo?
Jake.
Is less offensive.
Matt-
What was that?
He's not from that one, has he?
Matt and Jake. Yeah, that's the. Is that the pick of all of us? Ant, what's the best casting duo?
I've never really experienced Matt and Jake, but
don't
Yeah,
want
you
to.
guessed. You thought it was
Don't
Sully.
want to.
You thought it was Sully and Grev, or what did you say? Sully and because with the guessing game,
don't know.
you and Ant had last season.
yeah, I don't know. I thought I said Ant and
No,
no,
Who's-
Dom and
yeah, you might have said Sully and
possibly.
Dom. Yeah, that was
Because
not your.
bear in mind as well. Bear in mind, I was only there for one season.
Hmm.
I
shouldn't have been doing
hadn't
that
really...
game.
No, but Dom did his usual thing and just sort of fucked off, didn't he? So
Mm.
I had to step in, save the day.
Saved the day.
Yeah, got
Saved the
rewarded
day
with
you
a
did.
coming down for a day and not casting anything because the semi-final got cancelled. That was a great prize.
Lovely.
Yeah, but
Did do the
But yeah,
final
like-
where Project Diversity played, so can't complain too much, right?
nah, Project Diversity did not play then. It was ex Luxor.
Alright.
A different team, different players.
Yeah, mostly.
Right. I think we're gonna end it off there. If you don't have any ending notes, no rants to give from anyone then. Looking at you
Player
Gantz.
names.
Oh yeah. You can do that if you
I
want.
hate player names. Right.
Oh,
This
there
will
we
be a
go.
quick one. This will be a quick one. Don't
Please
worry.
do it quick. Yep.
I just shout out every single one of the players. You got a notepad, right? You just got a
Yeah.
notepad file of the players' names.
Yeah, I have a list here of every single. No. Right. Why
Mhm.
do teams, players, whatever, always have that one player that's just like has that impronounceable name? Like whether it's just the way they've written it in the actual name, like, oh, let's add some capitals there and a few different numbers in there. Let's separate the words by a dash. And it's like, mate, you want to make the caster's life hard, and then you get ripped on it. You get ripped on it for not knowing what the actual name is. Like, I've always been like one of those people who says, oh, just like especially for sort of foreign teams that maybe don't have sort of much of an English sort of naming convention. I've always sort of, when I've been casting, I've said, "Oh, do you know how to pronounce this?" Or ask the chat, "Do you know how to pronounce this name, whatever?" And generally, people are quite helpful. It's great. I've had some lovely conversations with chat about it, but don't send casters passive aggressive messages about it. Like,
Looking at
if
you,
if
certain
if,
team.
if a caster's pronouncing your name wrong, just like send them a DM at them, whatever, and say, "Hey, by the way, this name's actually pronounced like this. It's not. It's
Mm.
entirely not how it's spelt, but it's pronounced this different way." And I'll be like, "Yeah, okay, right, I'll pronounce it that way then."
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
like, why are you not? It just annoys me. Like, I'm sure a lot of casters have this pent up inside them as well.
Mm.
Like, imagine you're casting a game and then suddenly it's a team you've not seen before, and you go, "Oh, here's XX DL72 Fire Legion Mama Bear in." And it's like, and
Why
then
can't
get,
you
like,
just be
loads-
called?
And you get,
Why
and
can't
get,
you
like,
just be
loads of
called
fucking
Jack
messages.
Dalton?
Yeah,
Just-
and you get like loads of messages saying his name's actually Jack, and it's like, why is he called XX Mama Bear Fire Legion 62 then? It's like just be reasonable, please. Like, a lot of the time it's fine, and you just guess and sort of make it work. But
Mm.
sometimes you do get people who sort of just expect you to be able to pronounce.
Yeah, especially you
correctly
with like
first
the
time.
Asian games. I know I've done some Asian games as well, like
Yeah,
South Korean.
especially when it's 4
WHG.
in the morning.
Yeah,
4 in the morning. You're doing the qualifiers. It's you're having to cast, and it's like I'm pretty mentally boomed right now. Just
Mm.
don't give me one of them. Like, just give me like,
Just tell me how to do it, please.
yeah,
Yeah.
just give me some names like
Or just be
Hitch,
called Dave.
Mm.
Just
Barry,
Dave
something
1,
like
Dave
that.
2, Dave 3.
Yeah, I might just start doing that now. Just like create an overlay that just renames everyone to either Dave or Jeff.
That's
Oh,
solid.
look, Jeff 4.
Jeff from the
Sorry for
seaside.
Right, we are gonna end it off there. Dan got his little rat in, maybe not as fiery as some expected, but that's always solid. We'll ramp up as the season progresses.
I've got plenty of these.
Yeah,
coming up,
exactly.
don't worry.
We'll
That was literally just like, you know, when like you chisel away at a bit of a block of ice and you sort of see what's been left inside. That's just like a little sort of corner peering out.
Mm,
And sort of you can sort of feel the edge of it.
yeah.
It's
We'll
just
get-
you blowing the candles off the cake.
Mm,
We've not seen what's inside the cake yet.
exactly.
It's one of those big ones, and a guy's just going to jump out in a leotard.
Yeah, we'll check
That's a
that.
big fucking cake.
We'll check that cake when it comes.
Have you not seen those? Have you not seen those like giant cakes?
You
Like,
Yeah, I
promised
thought
a
you were
short
talking-
round.
Yeah,
like
I
a wedding
was talking about one of
I
those
th-
smaller cakes like you
think-
could eat with your family, but not a fucking giant one.
I faintly remember.
You've never seen a wedding cake? You can eat them.
I faintly remember Dan not going on for too long, for promising one, and then
No, he's just talking about stripper cakes with people popping out.
yeah. And
It
thank you for.
I mean, this has been a deep dive, hasn't it? Really.
really has. This last minute.
stripper cakes and name struggles. Nexus.
Yeah. Mainly the name struggles.
Nexus. Thank you for being
Promise.
here,
Thank you, no problem.
Thank
you for
you,
having
Dan.
me.
You're welcome.
and thank
Been
you,
your
Ant.
pleasure.
You're more than welcome as well.
All right, we'll see you back next Monday. Same, not maybe time, but same day, same bad channel, same league, and so on and so on. Catch us on Twitter, by the way. Obviously, all our handles are over here. But also follow at ESN_GG on Twitter to make sure to keep up with all the games when they are, since nothing is scheduled yet. They're going to be coming out during the week, and then we'll just have to urge you to follow all of us. I think the link should be dropped in the Twitch chat as well. Anyway, see you back next week, and bye for now. Take care.